Good day and welcome to the Gritty Tales writing vlog. I am your host Tyler M Mathis, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that is of particular relevance to new authors, because veterans pretty much know the deal. But a lot of you who've recently written a book are probably going through this, and it's definitely an issue that's kind of touchy for a lot of us. And that is why your family and friends don't read your books, subtitled, and why in most cases you shouldn't care. So, you've toiled for months in your spare time writing your novel, perhaps even for years, and finally the big day arrives. Your book is available for sale. You boost the links on your social media pages and expect all sorts of likes and congratulations on your achievement. Now, some people wish you well, others say nothing at all, even close friends whom you thought would congratulate you and show some interest. But the result in both cases is the same usually. Practically none of your family and friends buy your book, nor do they share your links and support your efforts, let alone appreciate them. This is a rude awakening for many new authors, and in some cases it's downright devastating. I'm telling you right now, you need to get over it and soldier on. There are a lot of reasons why those close to you don't care to read your books. And some are legitimate and logical once you think them over for a while. So that's what we shall cover today, and hopefully by the end, you, frustrated new author, will learn to take this lack of interest in stride and recognize the several reasons that few people care to read your book. And you might learn a bit about human nature, yours as well as theirs. Before we're done here, should I say you'll learn a little bit more about human nature. As a writer, I'm hoping you already know something about human nature. First off, ask yourself if your family and friends even read, because not many people do these days. Can you reasonably expect those people to want to read your book? Let's say one of your friends is an avid golfer who got invited to a prestigious tournament nearby. Would you go and watch him if you have no interest in golf? Probably not. You might like his post or wish him luck, or maybe you just scroll on indifferently, because golf is his thing, it's not yours. Seems reasonable, right? Then why should you expect people who don't read to be interested in reading your book? Just because you wrote it? So what? Reading just isn't their thing, so accept it and move on. Don't try to push your book on anyone. If they're not going to buy it in the first place, you're not going to change their minds. All you'll succeed in doing is annoying the hell out of people, so just don't do that. The same holds true for people who do read, but they just don't read in your genre. You can't expect your aunt who reads cat cozies and romances by the dozen to get excited over your splatter horror novel. I mean, that person just simply isn't going to be interested. Now, the only exception to what I've said are your inner circle, the closest of close friends and family, the handful of people whom you presume have your back, as you have theirs. These individuals are crucial to your career, and we'll delve more into them later on in the vlog. The dreamer factor. Dreamers are discouraged in most of Western society. The reasons are many, but they mostly revolve around money. People who pursue their dreams do so for free, with no guarantees of success or of payment, which severely limits their earning potential and makes them, in the eyes of their friends and family, destined to lose. So of course people are going to tell you not to quit your day job, which is sound advice in most cases. They'll tell you to major in business instead of English, or to stop writing books in your spare time and concentrate on ways to actually make money. Most of them aren't being malicious when they say that. They're just trying to offer pragmatic advice. Some of you might want to listen to them, because not everyone is cut out to be a writer. I believe we covered that in vlog number 2. And writing will break your heart over and over again, just like any endeavor with a high rate of failure. So these people are kind of looking out for you in that manner as well. Now, just about every family has a dreamer among them, usually a musician in my experience. You know the sort I'm talking about. The guy who trots out with his guitar at every family gathering. And while they may have some talent, it's obvious to everyone that they don't have what it takes to make the big time. People humor them or ignore them and go upstairs to watch the ball game, or whatever. As a writer, you'll have an even harder time convincing people you're for real, because unlike music or graphic arts, nobody can gauge your talent with a mere listen or glance. It takes effort to read a few chapters and figure out if the dreamer author might have some talent, or if you're just another hack with impossible dreams. In other words, you're going to be automatically dismissed by most everyone who doesn't truly realize what you're capable of. So don't expect any of these people to buy your book or show the slightest interest. And once again, so what? Remember that it's up to you to gauge your own talent, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You may indeed be a horrible writer with no hope of becoming better, but don't let your family and friends decide that. It's foolish to think they are even capable of doing so, because most of them aren't going to give you a shot anyway. So just move on and let the editors and your beta readers decide if you have talent, for they are the only ones who are qualified to do so. And now we move along to the jealousy factor. I've read some downright ugly accounts of best friendships dissolving because someone wrote a book. Chalk those incidents up to jealousy, and frankly, the writer is better for it in the end. Chances are that great friend of yours never asked how the writing project was going. Not because he didn't care, but because he saw you undertaking a daunting project that most people are incapable of finishing. He knows he couldn't do it, and if he can't do it, then you shouldn't be able to either. And when you do, voila, jealousy sets in. This friend will either avoid any mention of your book, or read it just to belittle your efforts and point out every flaw he can find. This sort of friend is also the type who will demand a free copy if he decides to tear you down by reading your book, so be ready for that. And here in a minute, we'll talk a bit more about those who think they deserve a free copy of your book. These jealous people are a cancer. Fortunately for you, they've shown their true nature and, if you're smart, cause you to reevaluate your friendship. Now again, consider the non-reader factor first before you jump to conclusions. But if this person is a best friend, he should at least offer best wishes on your endeavors, even if he doesn't support you with a sale. If he doesn't, then he never respected you as a friend in the first place. Take heart in the fact that you're better off without him. We're going to talk a bit about respect right now, because a lot of the indifference to your work stems from that. Certain friends and family just don't respect you in the manner that you believed. They might think you're a great person, but deep down they don't believe in you. Most of this boils down to the introvert factor that I've discussed in past vlogs. Maybe you just don't inspire confidence in people, but the dreamer factor is usually in play as well. You'll learn quickly when you release a book who actually respects you and who doesn't. And if you didn't know already, then it's time you found out anyway. Examples of no respect are close people whom you know read books in your genre but will not bother reading your book. Why would they bother? In their minds, you're a dreamer. And if you were worth a damn as a writer, you'd be rich and your paperback would be in the discount rack at Walmart. Now, I'm not saying to cut these people out of your lives, but rather to just keep their attitude toward you in mind. And when their big day arrives, when they've accomplished something, whatever it may be, show them the same sort of indifference that they showed you. That's only fair, at least in my mind. People want your book for free. So invariably someone in your circle of family and friends will show some interest in your book. However, they won't want to pay for it. They'll want a free copy. Bullshit. They need to buy your book, and if they're your closest people, they should want to. Now, there's nothing wrong with giving away a few copies of your book to certain individuals, but most of your interested friends and family should support you by purchasing your book if they're really that keen on reading it. You have to realize that many of these people aren't trying to be offensive. They just don't know any better because they can't imagine all the work you've put into your book. And then there are others who just want something for nothing. You tell those people no, that you've worked extremely hard and that they should buy your book if they're interested in reading it. Trust me, they won't buy it, and therefore you've lost nothing by telling them to buy. And if you're worried that these people will think less of you for not giving them a copy of your book, just think for a moment how little they respect you already by even asking for such a handout. Once again, we'll elaborate further on this in the coming minutes when we talk about respect and inner circle and things like that. You need to ask yourself who's got your back. You should expect support from only one group of people, your inner circle, the people who've got your back no matter what. For me, those are my 2 sons and my second wife. My sons don't really read, but they bought my ebooks just because they know I need the sales ranking support. My oldest son even asked for a paperback copy of Gritty Tales, which of course he received. Again, I don't think he's read it, but I don't really care. He wanted to display it on the bookshelf in his room, and I was happy to oblige. My kids also watch my vlogs even though they aren't writers, again just to boost my views and support me as I support them in their endeavors. Yeah, I couldn't ask for anything more. My wife isn't much of a reader at all, but she buys and reads all of my books and is an absolute rock of understanding and support. She also watches my vlogs and never complains when I'm up here in the office working instead of downstairs with her. I'm not much of a workaholic any longer, but even if I were, she would get that and allow me the time to complete my work. She knows that you don't come between a man and his passions, particularly when that man is me, because when I sit down to write something, it gets done no matter how long it takes. End of the day, close family are the only people you should rely on for support as a writer. Maybe a best friend, but I've gone through a lot of friends over the course of my life, and I'm hesitant to say that. Friends are just too fickle. If you have a best friend whom you've known for decades and implicitly trust, then you should be thankful, for you can probably expect some support there. But that judgment call is up to you. If your closest family, particularly your significant other, does not support you, then you are truly on your own. But don't expect their support if you don't give it. To use the example from before, you probably wouldn't go to your friend's golf match if you weren't interested. But you damn sure better go if it's your kid or your spouse. You're here to support them, and you receive their support in return. And if either side isn't giving it, then there's a hell of a problem. And as a writer, you've got problems enough. We can't pick our children or parents, but we do pick our significant others. And if that person has no confidence in your abilities, dismisses you as a misguided dreamer, or is jealous of you in any way, it is going to affect your writing. Now, I'm not telling anybody to get divorced over a spouse who doesn't support their writing. But if you're really serious about writing and you know through self-evaluation or an editor that you've got talent, it's probably time to at least have a talk with your significant other. I will tell you, however, that if your SO is jealous, then you've got problems far beyond a mere unsupportive spouse. No relationship can survive if jealousy is a factor. It will tear people apart every time. So know who's got your back, people, and be good to those who are good to you. Otherwise, you have no business bitching that nobody supports your writing career. Now we're going to talk about a coping mechanism that I find helpful, and that is to be stoic. I often read Stoic philosophy, which is something I believe every writer can benefit from. One of the first rules of Stoicism is we only have control over ourselves and our actions. We can try to persuade others to our opinion, but we cannot force them to accept it, just as we can write a book, but we cannot force others to buy it. Anything out of our control is exactly that. We can do nothing about it and must accept the situation for what it is and react to it in the most rational manner possible within our ability to act. So it is with your family and friends and their attitude toward your book. You can ask them to read it, try to convince them to read it, but you can't force them to read it. If people you thought had your back turns out they don't, or if the jealousy factor emerges, particularly then some action on your part should be taken. Otherwise, think nothing of people not supporting you as a writer. You'll only make yourself miserable worrying about it, because there's nothing you can do regarding them. Your book is out there. Those who know you and want to read it will do so. My suggestion is to concentrate instead on marketing and writing more books, because that's what you're here to do. In the vast majority of cases, what your family and acquaintances and friends think of your book is irrelevant anyway, so don't sweat it. Trust me on this, new author, and if you need further proof of what I've said all throughout this video, ask some other veteran writers of their experiences with friends and family buying their books. Chances are that unless they started out at the top, they'll tell you exactly the same things. And that concludes this vlog on friends, family, and your books. If you're a new author, I hope that this has helped you out a little bit and given you some perspective on how things work. It can be a pretty rude awakening, and I hope that I've helped a few of you out there to get through this. Generally speaking, whether you're a new author or a veteran, if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share, and be sure to check out the links to my books and to the Gritty Tales writing group on Facebook, all of which are listed below. Thank you for watching, and that is all.